Hey everyone, I'm Mary Beth McAndrews from Dread Central, and I am here today with the writer and director of the incredible film Resurrection, Andrew Semans. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. I am so excited to talk to you about this movie. It was my favorite out of Sundance, and I'm very excited to chat because this movie had a big impact on me, and I'm so excited to hear about why this movie. And I guess my first question is like, where did this idea come from your brain?
Well, that it came from my brain. Yeah, that's the short answer. No, it came from. It was a long time. I wrote the first draft of the script a long time ago, but
Oh, really?
if memory serves, I'd like to do this exercise sometimes before I try and write something. When I try and come up with ideas, I often will think, oh, what truly terrifies me? What's some fundamental fear I have? And I will identify something and think about it and put some pressure on it. And sometimes a story or an idea or a character emerges or something like that. And with this one, I was thinking about fears around parenthood, just these elemental fears about, can I keep my child safe? Can I protect them from harm and injury and exploitation and what have you? And I thought, well, that's something that feels very present to me. It's something that feels very universal. And even though I didn't have children at the time, it got me to thinking about like the parental revenge or parental vigilante movie like Taken, and these movies where it's just sort of ordinary parents become these superheroes when their children are kidnapped or threatened or something like that, and this kind of very grandiose narcissistic fantasy that I think is very easy to sympathize with. And so I thought, oh well, maybe I'll try and write a movie like that. And I was trying to kind of build up the idea and build up the character. And as I was doing so, these other themes of manipulation, coercion, trauma, trauma bonding, gaslighting started to find their way into the story as a result of an experience that a close friend of mine was having at the time.
Oh, wow.
In a very unhealthy toxic relationship that is thankfully now over, but it was something that I was seeing firsthand and trying to understand, and in the process of doing so, it began to form this script significantly.
Wow, that's and so as someone who was in a toxic relationship, in this movie like really spoke to me on that. I think you capture that really well, especially with Rebecca Hall's character and kind of what it's like to go through that and try to recover from it. And like, what was that like writing that character and kind of especially that monologue that she has towards like middle endish part where she has this incredible monologue about her story. Like, what was it like writing that and tapping into these kind of experiences you're watching someone else have?
Yeah, I mean, writing that was actually a lot of fun because I really wanted I mean, the content, of course, is not fun.
Oh yeah.
But the experience is great because I was just I had this idea that I'm going to put a long monologue right in the middle of this movie, and which is actually kind of inspired by this other movie called Little Murders from 1970 or 71, directed by Alan Arkin and starring Elliot Gould. But there's this big single take monologue right in the middle of the movie that I always loved. And I always thought, wow, if I could figure out a way to build that into a movie, something like that into a movie and make it work, that would just be really exciting for me. So I kind of gave myself permission to do that and found a way to do that. And so writing that was actually one of the most fun parts of the movie. It was rewritten many times, but yeah, that was very, despite the content, which is quite weak and quite strange, that was a joy to write.
And what was that like then to see it, like Rebecca Hall take that monologue and make it happen and then see it in your movie? Like, what was that? That must have been
totally
the coolest
great
feeling. Like, and it's Rebecca Hall. I mean, again, what was it like directing her? I mean, incredible actor, and she just picked those words. Oh my god!
The experience with the monologue is really indicative of the whole experience with Rebecca. So I feel like I can kind of answer that, but in a very quick way, is that we wrote this monologue. I knew I wanted it to be a single long take right in the middle of the movie. And I knew that was going to be a big risk, because if it didn't work, the whole movie, it's just the movie dies. If that scene doesn't work, the movie, you can't, an audience will never recover from that being fumbled. And so it felt very risky. And indeed, a lot of the movie felt very risky, given the content, given the premise of the movie. And in the case of the monologue, and indeed the whole movie, Rebecca just kind of swooped in and solved everything, because she's so great at her job, because she's so brilliant, and because she imbues everything with this sense of authority and intelligence, and most of all, dignity. Mm-hmm. She can kind of sell things that other actors, lesser actors, could not. And so the monologue was something where, we were a little nervous about it, but she came in, we did 2 takes, she nailed them both, and we're like, okay, moving on. And it was kind of like that through the whole movie. It's like, we'd be like, oh shit, how are we gonna do this? Then Rebecca, like some kind of superhero, comes in and just does it. And
like, cool. Great. You mean that looks so easy? Thanks a lot for making everyone's jobs easy.
Yeah, I mean, really, that is very much what it was like and how everybody was feeling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you talk about risks, and the ending, we won't spoil ending, but the ending is a risk that I absolutely love.
Sorry, my partner is just walking by.
Oh, no worries. Hello. How like, were you ever worried about the ending? And I know, like, and about like having such a crazy ending that I love. Like, were you ever worried about having that, and like what, it being divisive at all?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I knew, when we all knew it was going to be divisive. Mm-hmm. There's just no other way. Some people are going to reject this ending and think it's illogical or unearned or something, and others will embrace it. And that was just baked in. Yeah. And so I was just hoping that, despite how strange or unexpected or operatic or weird or whatever you want to say about the ending, that it would have enough of a sense of emotional logic, and enough of a sense of catharsis, and enough of a sense of consistency in terms of the character's journey, that it would feel satisfying, and it would feel like it made sense, even if it doesn't make sense logically. And it always did to me. Yeah. And it always did to the majority of people who read the script. And that was extremely heartening. And then now that the movie is made and people are experiencing it, it does seem to be something that works for a lot of audiences in a way that I hoped it would. And so I feel vindicated by that.
That's awesome. And again, the ending is incredible, and we will not spoil it, but everyone see the movie because the ending is so cool. But my last question for you is, if you were to create your perfect double feature with Resurrection, what film would you pair with it?
Oh God, I don't know. I've not heard that question.
Sorry.
You know what? Maybe I would. This is gonna suck, because I just mentioned it a few minutes ago. I'm gonna say Little Murders. Why not? Because Little Murders was a kind of formal inspiration. It was an inspiration in terms of the monologue. It is a movie that contains horror elements, but is not a full-on horror movie. And it's a movie that I truly love, that I feel is criminally underseen. What it has to do with Resurrection thematically or in terms of story, nothing. But I'll just go with that out of desperation.
Perfect. I love it. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me about Resurrection. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.